Morning, Peter. You're just on mute, Pete.
Perfecto. I'm doing great. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Appreciate that it's like super early in the morning for you. Is it 5 o'clock ish?
Yes, 5 a.m., but we're up. Our factory opens at 4:15. I'm in the office usually at 4, so it's pretty easy.
Wow. So is
Yeah.
this so I'm assuming, you're an early starter every single morning.
Yes. Yeah. It's amazing how productive it is too. I even myself, I look around, it's around a quarter to 9, maybe 9 o'clock, and I go, damn, I got a full day's worth of work done already.
Yeah.
Then you kind of go into cruise control when the phone starts ringing and things like that. But yeah, there's something about that. I don't know what it is. Early in the morning, you can just everything is clear. So I invite this. This is nice. 5 a.m. My speed, definitely my speed. Where are you
Nice.
located? Where are you?
So I'm based in a little town called Barnsley, which is in South Yorkshire. I
Uh-huh.
suppose the closest city would be Sheffield or Manchester.
Okay,
So up the north of England, that's where we're based. 1 o'clock in the afternoon now for us.
great.
Uh, so yeah, I've been wanting to. I know that we've cancelled a couple of times and we've had to reschedule for various things, and I apologize for that.
No
Uh,
worries.
but I am super excited to have you on the show because this is the first time that I've actually introduced interviewing someone from modular building construction, which I find fascinating. Uh,
Fantastic. Are we going to talk Man U or Manchester City soccer at all? Or
no, not
is
really.
this a part of it? Okay.
To be honest, I am not a very big soccer fan.
Uh,
I used to be in the 80s when you could take somebody's legs out and just get a foul, but now it's totally different. See, I'm very much a contact sports type of guy.
uh-huh.
So,
So rugby. Yeah.
rugby for
Yeah.
one, NFL, love the NFL.
Great. That's
Uh,
great.
so yeah, love NFL, love ice hockey. So my
Mhm.
brother-in-law, he stays in Boston,
Right.
and we go to Boston quite a bit.
Mhm.
So been to Gillette Stadium, been to what is it called? I can't remember. TD Gardens. Uh,
Uh-huh.
watch the ice hockey. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
That's
So.
great. Great.
I'm more of a I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, mainly because the Black Panther is my favorite animal, and that's how I
Ah,
got into it.
whatever it takes, man. That's good.
So,
That's
so
good.
I'm a Panthers fan. My wife, she's a Dolphins fan. They're not
Uh,
doing that too great at the moment. Obviously, my brother-in-law, he's a Pats fan, so we
yeah.
watch the Pats now and again.
That's good.
Uh,
There were a few games in the UK this year, no?
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so it's becoming bigger and bigger in the UK. A
uh-huh.
lot of people, I mean, we started off with one or two. Now this is going back 10 years, to be honest.
Mhm.
One or two. Now there's like three or four. Uh,
Right.
there's even discussions of bringing a NFL team to the UK, but I mean they've been
Mhm.
talking about this for ages, and the logistics is just. I mean, I know
Yeah.
America's massive, and you can travel for hours to get to one of the teams,
Mhm.
but UK I think is just a little bit too far, to be
Well,
honest.
listen, if they can make money at it, they'll figure out a way to do it. The NFL is a money generating machine. They
Oh
figured out
man.
how to market it and do so many different things, and it's trickled down into the college level.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and it's interesting because like this past weekend, one of the guys in the factory, his son's on the football team in high school, and I spend part of my time at Austin, and my kids went to high school, Lake Travis High School. Now,
Yeah.
Lake Travis is notorious for producing all these professional players. right? So you get really excited watching high school ball because it played at its highest level, you know.
Yeah.
It's not corrupted, you know, there's no TV timeouts and all that other fun stuff. And it's just a fluid game, you know, and really exciting to watch.
I
And
mean, I must admit that's one of the things that annoys the hell out of me is the amount of flags on the play.
oh yeah,
It
yeah,
breaks it
yeah,
up so much, and it's amazing what you can do and you can get away with, and what you can't do. So you can go head first into someone and smash take his legs out, no problem. That's okay. But if you
yeah,
just grab him for 2 seconds, no
yeah,
flag on the play,
yeah.
5 meters. Just it's
Well,
amazing. But yeah,
yeah.
my sports are more contact sports than soccer, to be honest.
Okay,
Uh,
got it. I got it. I had a friend from Australia who went to school there in the UK. His dad was a banker. He ended up in London. It's like a Harry Potter school or something, right?
yeah,
And he said, I said, listen, did you play any soccer? And he's probably 5'10", 5'11", not built like a football player, a rugby player. And he just looked at me and he goes, soccer. I'm like, I said, yeah, the Socceroos and England's really into soccer. He goes, it's for sissies. I said, sissy. Yeah. He said, the men play rugby. I said, dude, I said, you're playing rugby? He says, I was a winger. He said, I ran my ass off. He said, a lot of incentive to just go, 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 because these guys would crush you. He said, but
yeah,
that's what the real hardcore, sports, contact sports guys are into.
yeah,
And
yeah,
he
yeah.
got me watching the All Blacks and going to an English pub here in LA and watching the World Championship in rugby and all. It's
Yeah,
fun,
yeah.
really fun to watch. So
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in South Africa, so my background is, rugby.
got it.
That's when you grew up in school, it didn't matter if you were stick thin or massive, you played rugby, you
The
know.
Springboks, right? Yeah, the Springboks. Is that the
Yeah.
South African team? Ah,
Yeah, and I mean, they are totally dominating at the minute.
ah,
Um, there is no team on God's green earth that can beat the Springboks
ah.
currently. They are just
Wow.
wiping the floor. Even the All Blacks, they've got no chance. I mean, we were fortunate enough, extremely fortunate enough, not last year,
Right.
to go watch the Springboks play the All Blacks at Twickenham in London,
Okay.
and they annihilated them. And this was absolutely annihilated them. It was a pleasure to watch.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's fun to watch.
I could talk sports all day.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's the
that's not
next
why we're
podcast.
here.
Yeah.
That's not why we're here. So I'm going to keep it very short. It's going to be about 15 minutes. To be honest, Peter, not very intense. You've got the questions. Really interested to see your views on modular buildings and how they are sort of changing the environment within the market, the property development market. So I introduce the show, I introduce you, we go straight into the questions, we have a little chat, finish it off, and then that's it really. There's not much to it. So appreciate your time. You'll hear me clapping right at the beginning and right at the end. That is just for my editorial team so that they know when to edit the because obviously they don't want to know about the All Blacks or anything like that. They just want to know about the building stuff. Right, yeah. So yeah, we'll jump on if that's okay with you, Peter.
Very good. Very nice.
So
Thank you so much.
yeah, no
You,
problem. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Blueprints to Buildings podcast. I'm your host, Glen Palmer, and on this show, we interview the movers and shakers in the world of property and development and real estate. So, this episode is powered by a prop tech innovation that is pretty much flipping the script on how developments are visualized and sold. No outdated 3D models, no guesswork, just a faster route to concept to completion, often cutting between 8 and 12 weeks off project timelines. If you want to see it in action, reach out on LinkedIn at Glen Palmer Secure or check out the show notes below. Now, today's guest is Peter DeMaria. He is an award-winning architect and co-founder of MID-RISE Modular, known for transforming the future of housing by merging world-class design with factory-built precision to create fast, scalable, and beautifully engineered living spaces. Peter, absolute pleasure having you on the show. Welcome. Thanks for taking your time out. And yeah, let's jump in, shall we?
Sounds good. Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning. So, one that I like to ask absolutely everybody, if time travel became a reality and you had a chance to go back in time to when you first started your career, what advice would the person that you are now tell your younger self?
Study history. I'm a history fanatic, and I've only recently become that. I would go to Italy every day for about 5 years and just study Rome. I recently in Rome, and we were stuck in traffic, and they don't have a subway. And I asked the cab driver, "Why don't you have a subway? Every city in Europe has a subway." He says, "Every time we dig down 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, we hit some ruin, and we have to stop, and the historians come in." He said, "We never get it off the ground." And it made me realize that underneath what is left really like a carcass of Rome right now, what we see is something that was looted for 400 years after the fall of the Roman Empire.
Hmm.
Underneath all that is another city and a city below that. And
Yeah.
when in LA, we have these squatters, right? They take over a home, and the first thing they do is go in and they rip all the copper pipes out of the wall. And they go sell the pipes, get money, do whatever they do with the money, and the place is just it's pillaged, it's completely looted. Well, that happened for 400 years in Rome.
Mm.
All we're seeing of the Colosseum is like the carcass of an animal that was hit on the road and has been out there for the last, 6 months deteriorating. But Rome is this wealth of information. And every time I go, I explore and understand something new that helps me as a professional. It helps me as an architect. It helps me as a city planner. And just
Hmm.
gives me insight on and so much that has been attempted in the past with some levels of success, and it kind of feeds this modern mind. So I think that I would read, and study history as much as I possibly could, and not just the Italians. I have a little Italian descent, right? So I'm partial to that. But I've come back from Japan and all these wonderful places around the planet that just continuously feed us, and you always come back and you say, I didn't realize it. Someone already solved the problem.
Yeah.
Rather than banging my head against the wall. All these resources are out there. So I would say just expand the horizon. And that's something I probably should have done more. I was just too focused on being this cool architect who's doing cool buildings in cool LA. But I
Yeah.
think a more worldly view of things just feeds the mind and feeds the design palette.
That's something that not really thought about, to be honest, is yeah, I love history, a big history buff. Right one, the Boer War and how that happened, and loads of things like I can talk about that for years. But learning about what they did in the past and like you say, they could have solved loads of problems in the past that we haven't really looked at because we're always focused on the future. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's something really that I haven't really looked at or explored. Really good view, to be honest. So you've
Thank you.
um, you've spent decades reimagining how buildings can be designed, how they can be engineered and delivered. So what is the one core problem in traditional construction that actually pushed you towards the modular innovation? And how does your approach solve it in a way that, the industry just didn't really expect to happen?
Okay. Well, I think there's a famous quote from Einstein, and it's the definition of madness is repeating the same thing, or maybe the same mistake over and over and over again, and expecting different results. And I've been an architect for nearly a decade here in Los Angeles, and I just saw this pattern of problems when the projects were about to be constructed or while they were under construction. And then, you start to look at it and you speak to some of these old timers and they go, get used to it. Well, what's the problem? You've been having these headaches for the last 50 years. And then you read about it and you can go back to Vitruvius and he'll talk to you about, just maintaining quality and budget and all these incredible things. And you go, man, this is not a new problem. So I'm either going to live with it and trudge through a project for the rest of my life, where the same problems come up. And eventually, I imagine you get really numb from it all, or you can take action. So I said, okay, what are the alternatives to this? At that point, I actually was teaching and I took a sabbatical, traveled around the world to see what other types of systems would actually work besides the system we have been employing for the last 500 years. And got into some things with from the cargo containers, the modular design, all those different things. There were alternatives that showed some promise, but they were still in their infancy. They had not even been, unveiled in many
Yeah.
ways. So that I think that was what sparked it all, right? I didn't just wake up one day, I'm going to change the world, right? It's usually there's this challenge that we recognize and say, this is really horrible. And if I could modify this and make it better, it's going to have impact on so many people in our industry, for the end user. It was win-win for everyone. And most of these challenges and solutions are driven by the almighty dollar, right?
Hmm.
And I don't get up in the morning and pray to the dollar bill. That's not me. Okay, but I do recognize that very often, if there's a way for folks to save money, make money, it really speeds up the process. Okay,
Yeah.
so when we got into really doing the modular, it was the result of traditional construction just, I don't want to say failing, but being a disappointing process. And that process, I mean, we all love the wonderful painting, or what I usually say, we all love to eat sausage, but no one wants to be in the kitchen when you're making the sausage, okay?
Yeah.
Not trying it, okay? Because it's a dirty job. It's a really rough thing. It's not for the squeamish. But that process is so important as an architect. That's where we live. The end result is something that's like 10% of this, process that goes on and on. So that process is where I thought I needed to make some impact. And
Hmm.
that's where we made some headway and said, okay, let's move into the modular space because it showed so much promise. Unlike well, there's some other industries, like I mentioned earlier, that we can learn from. So it wasn't like we were reinventing the wheel. So we
Yeah.
were borrowing from the automobile industry, from the aerospace industry, from a whole bunch of them. And what we found is really an approach whereby we are manufacturing as opposed to building a one-off work of art.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to diminish the quality of it because sometimes I listen, you're going to be mass producing something and therefore the value of it goes way down because there's so many of them. You've flooded the market with it, right? As opposed to having a one-off Taj Mahal or something like that. But I
Hmm.
think, I think you can have the best of both worlds, and I've seen it over and over again. You might have a watch that your friend owns, and you doesn't diminish your love for your watch or whatever it may, because somebody else has one. But in a nutshell, I think there's the idea of manufacturing. It brings so much efficiency to the table that satisfies many of those headaches that we had with traditional construction that really prompted the entire move in the modular space.
Yeah. And then, when you're designing your modular systems that are pretty much manufactured like products, how crucial is the visualization aspect of it? Like the 3D models or the digital twins that we get, the interactive walkthroughs that you can now get in helping, developers, city officials, or even investors, get that concept.
Mhm. But I think it's evolving. The whole perception of how a project comes to life is changed dramatically with the introduction of AI and renderings and just being able to go onto Pinterest and have this folder of all these images that you can refer to really helps clients understand. The
Yeah.
process is all about predictability. Where there's non-predictability, the wheels fall off the wagon, right? How many people say, sure, I want to spend this money on my project, but I'm not quite sure what I'm getting, you know? So you're asking people to take a reach, and it used to be that way. When I started my career, I mean, kind of funky, a creative architect walks in and is like, okay, we'll take a chance on this guy. His sketches look nice. Everything looks good, and he's done some work in the past. So this non-predictability factor gets weighed into all of it. And some people are just too squeamish. They just think, I'm not going down that path. I
Hmm.
need to be very pragmatic and I want to understand where I'm going. So I need to see that end result. You go into the restaurant and there's actually a picture of the meal that you want sometime, right? So people say, okay, I'll take one of those. I don't know what's in it, but I see it. I can grasp it a little bit better. And
Yeah.
therefore I'm into it. Whereas if you say, listen, we have the chef special today. And some people are excited by that, right? I was like, okay, let's see what the heck the chef has for us. And others are like, I have no idea who this guy is. No, I don't want it, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of creating renderings and really in our manufacturing process, we create a digital twin of the entire building inside out and backwards, all of it. I know where every hole is in every stud to accommodate every piece of conduit, every pipe, every vent ductwork, you name it. It's all spelled out in the computer. And if it's not, excuse me, if it's not, we don't turn on the rope warning machine.
Yeah. Nice. And that, yeah, that I think the technology is getting there where you can see, where you can pull away the walls and see where every electrical conduit, where every air vent, where every water suppression is going to be, and giving that clarity before the build and during the build, and then giving the buyer and the investor that confidence to say, this is what it's going to look like. I think it's truly an exciting time that we're living in, especially with AI, the way AI is going. Yeah, it's phenomenal. So
Yep.
getting back to it, in the US, you've got zoning, you've got all the permitting, all the finance. All of this can slow down even the best housing innovations. So, what's the biggest friction point that you face when bringing modular into urban or mid-rise environments? And how do you sort of overcome that?
Okay. This may be a shock, but I don't believe that the building departments, the inspectors, and any of them are slowing down the process.
All right, okay.
None whatsoever. I mean, most of these folks are engineers. They're very pragmatic, they're very rational, and you simply need to bring some level of predictability once again back to the process and say, this is the way it's done. And it's not rocket science. Okay,
Hmm.
it's like this is very step by step how it goes. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us. If you're doing anything that's innovative or anything forward thinking, you need to explain it.
Yeah,
Right? There's very few people like Medici who say, okay, go do whatever you like, create something and come back and we'll see what it is. I mean, if you have that client, that's great, but that's not reality for so many people. So I think that the governing agencies in California, especially, have been incredible. I have no problem whatsoever. Every time we go there with something innovative, they embrace it and they move forward. Now, where you will hit a snag is sometimes in the industry that good old capitalist environment that we love that spawned so much innovation. It can stifle and stop it. I'll give you
yeah,
an example. We were using copper pipes in all our buildings, and then we made a move to PEX, right, which is a polymer-based material. And this had to be almost 20 years ago. And the material, that piping had been used all over California and Arizona, all over the southwestern United States. And all of a sudden, the state of California said you can't use it. So a mandate came down from some judge somewhere in Sacramento said you can't use this material. I said, well, why not? He said, well, we think there's a report that someone might be getting sick from it. It stops the whole thing. And what
oh, wow.
you find out later is the plumbers union is being lobbying, okay, to have the PEC stop, right? Because you and I can put in PECs. We don't need any real level of expertise. It's like running a garden hose through a wall, as opposed
Hmm.
to copper pipe where you need to solder each angle, you need to spin the pipes, you do all this work. And basically, it's like the automobile displacing, the people who had horse-drawn carts, right? The horse-drawn cart people are really upset, okay, because
Yeah,
new technology comes along. So in some ways, the technology, the people are fighting and clawing for that space and rightfully so, they all want to make a living. But that's where I found the reins are being pulled back. Otherwise, it's smooth sailing. Now, what I believe is out there, what you're, I think, is alluded to in some ways, is a client base is not as confident as I am. They're
hmm,
sitting here and they go to dinner and someone says, that modular thing is A, B, C, and D, and we don't like it. And then you've got this whole group of contractors who are against it. Right? And I'm originally from New Jersey, and there's a certain crudeness and a certain honesty that you find in the New Jersey kind of mindset. And I have a friend who's a contractor back there, and I said, "Man, why don't you embrace this? You know, I'm doing this stuff." He goes, "Think about this." He said, "You're going to put 70% of the project in a factory. That means you're taking 70% of my work away. Okay. A project that takes 2 years, you're going to get it done in 12 months, maybe 14 months. That means my calendar, my schedule, which I want to have booked up, just got cut in half. So
Yeah.
I'm making a third of the money. I'm getting my schedule cut in half. What else would you like? Would you like a quart of blood? I'll give you that as well." So they're against it. It's incongruent with what they're trying to do. So
Yeah.
there's pushback in that regard, and that I think is what's stopping it. If contractors embraced it, I think it would take off at lightning speed, but it requires an investment of time, money, resources on their part in order to understand that new technology and to do it with any level of efficiency.
Yeah.
That's where I think the stumbling block is.
Right. Okay. So you've got modular that requires tight collaboration between, your designers, your engineers, your builders, your manufacturers, and your stakeholders. So all of these, how do you create a shared vision or visual language so that everyone that is aligned and confident throughout that whole project life cycle? So
Okay.
how do you create that?
Well, the visual language one is I would say the easier part. It's where you simply get out there and you're really educating, in many instances, the engineer. Okay. The engineers, 90% of what they do is traditional, and then 10% is that modular. Right.
Yeah.
And so they're not staying on the cutting edge of what's taking place. So visually, with your digital twins, with the AI, all that kind of that library of information you have to share it. And it's really nice because you and I are communicating from halfway around the world. And the same thing happens with our projects. I'm communicating with 8 engineers at the same time, all from one little office space. So the technology is there and conducive to this collaboration. Okay,
Hmm.
nothing should fall through the cracks, right?
Yeah.
So that the tools are all there and they continue to be developed more and more and more. So I don't think we're going to be hindered in any way, shape, or form about the technology that exists that opens the door for great collaboration. I think that's just
Yeah.
getting stronger. Now, the other part that I will talk about is really it's getting them on that same team is you have to bring somebody has to be the leader in the project. And at the end of the day, no matter how much technology we have, people are going to look at that leader for whatever they stand for. And if the challenge is let's just put up a building, engineers who put these buildings, they don't need the architect. You get that architect out of here. He's making trouble for us, right? All their fancy renderings, we can put a building up. But when we work, that's not the objective. I mean, that's the end result, and we're pretty darn good at it. But there's a spirit that we carry to the project that really represents what we're trying to achieve with our client, with the neighborhood, wherever we're going to have impact.
Yeah.
So it's important for that leader to convey to the team the spirit of what's taking place. And I'll give you a quick example. We're working on a project now and got all these different engineers. They've all worked their modular. They all bring a different set of tools, skill sets, and technology solutions to the table. And I said, okay, before we start, I said, our objective is to remove as much work from the job site as possible. As much as possible. I said, behind every decision you make as an engineer on this project, when I'm not in the room there with you, okay, keep that in mind. And these pragmatic engineers all of a sudden come to the table like, well, we can do this and we can do that. And they're bringing up these possibilities that they've never, really tried before. But it's all based in their engineering know-how.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. So someone has to take that leadership role. Somebody's got to be Christopher Columbus and say, listen, we're going to find the new world. We don't know where it is. We may sail off the edge of the earth, but we had a darn good boat. We got some really bright navigators here. We think we have enough food. Let's go for it. Right. And many of these engineers are like, let's do it. They're
Yeah.
very few say, listen, I lead a nice, boring life. I'm going home and I'm going to have that boring life tonight. And I don't know. They don't. They're looking for that energy. They're looking for a conduit to make a
Yeah.
difference, make a positive difference. So I think that collaboration now it's so critical. We can't be Antonio Gaudí living in a shack for 60 years at a cathedral, doing trial and error arches. But it's exciting because you can do
Yeah.
so many projects. You can do so much different work and have an impact in so many different places.
I love your analogies. I love them. So, with manufacturing and construction converging more and more each year, where would you see modular and prefabrication headed in the next decade? So, do you think we're going to reach a point where modular is not just an alternative, but it's going to be like the new standard? Or are they, like you say, are they going to be stuck in their old ways and, not wanting to move forward because of various friction points, whether it be cost, whether it be, people that do not like change. So where do you see modular being going in the next decade?
Okay. In the next decade, not very far.
Really?
I'm not a pessimistic guy, but it's not going to move swiftly. And I can tell you just from what I've seen, because all these great benefits that come to the table with modular have been there for the last 20 years. Okay. So it's really not about the design. All this technology and all the things we're talking about are advancing beautifully. I mean, I can't tell you how incredible it is now compared to 20 years ago when we started doing this modular work. Now, I don't want to be the guy who says the world is falling apart and it's never going to happen. It's going to happen. Okay. And what people, if I look at the automobile industry, before Henry Ford came along for 20 years, the automotive industry was in a trial and error phase. And there were literally thousands of companies that went under. They went
Yeah.
bankrupt. Okay, and people don't realize, oh, Henry Ford came along, invented it, we're on our way. Yeah, but a lot of other folks, like the pioneers, I hear this often, they'll be a real pioneer. I say the pioneers in the US were the ones who took all the arrows. They're the ones who got all shot up, right? And then the wave that came after really was able to take advantage and leverage all those great things that were here. Just that the
Hmm.
pioneers sometimes have a vision and can see it. So I see it's definitely moving forward. 2017, I think it was 2.7 or 2.9% of the total construction spending in the US, and now it's up to 7%. So that's huge. That's almost
Yeah.
2 or 3 times what it was originally. It cannot be stopped. It's just what I'll call this creeping gradualism that is eventually everyone sees the light and go, of course, I've got to do this. I always cook, so I'm cooking on a barbecue, I cook on a range, I do all these things. Well, the microwave came along. And people are like, uh-oh, we don't need to cook anymore. No, not really. That microwave is a great tool for accomplishing whatever it is you want to do. People are still going to be cooking in the backyard or wherever it might be. I don't think it's ever going to eliminate one technology or the other, but the benefits are going to come along and folks are going to say, you know what, this is a great system to create housing,
Yeah.
repetitious housing over and over and over and meet the needs of the masses that are, such a big challenge here in the US. Will it be a great technology for navigating really difficult sites that are Rockies, mountains and things like that? Probably not, but that's a different tool that you use for that setting.
Yeah.
So I think it will have its place. I don't think it's going away. I think it's just going to get stronger. But I also think with all the focus that's taking place right now, especially with you reaching out and interviewing me on this and talking about it, there is now a focus that I think we're kind of right at that spot where Henry Ford came along, where
Yeah.
something's going to blow the lid off it, and everyone's going to go, "Of course, why have we been doing it this way?" It's
Yeah.
like those design items you finally say, "Of course, this is an obvious solution. Why didn't we think of this?" Right? And it just comes into being, but it's also built on the foundation of people who come before, who are struggling with it now, wrestling with all those issues and dealing with all the tools, the politicians, the engineers, the city officials, everything that you're doing is laying the groundwork, to become this catalyst for some big solution that's going to put it over the top. You know,
Yeah.
the, even the electric cars in the States with the Prius and all the others have been around for so long, but Elon Musk comes along and bang, it becomes this cool thing. It's like
Yeah.
everybody, yeah, it really changed the public perception. When you change that public perception, people do things that are, I would say, they do them and they're not always rational, but
Yeah.
but they embrace it. And sometimes that's exactly what you need, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's a very rational solution. I think it's in its
Yeah.
infancy. It's going to blossom.
Yeah, and just to sort of echo that, I was talking to a developer that he's in the Caribbean. Can't remember. I think I can't remember where it was, but he had a site. In fact, I think it was Bahamas or somewhere around there. And he's basically got this site that he wants to build 200 apartments, a housing complex, a hotel, but he wants to do it all modular, and
Hmm.
he wants to build a modular. He wants to build a sort of modular warehouse to do this.
Hmm.
So you are not alone. There are people out there that are wanting to do this, and Peter, I loved today's conversation. I love how modular construction is turning the industry on its head. May not be very quick, but it's turning it on its
Hmm.
head slowly.
Yeah.
And before we sign off, if listeners want to get in contact with you, learn about what you offer at Mid-Rise Modular, what are the best ways for listeners to do that?
Yeah, just track me down via the Mid-Rise Modular website. Look me up on LinkedIn. Call Glen Palmer. He'll know how to get a hold of me. And if you Google searching, you'll find some fun pictures of me out there and old interviews. But we are very transparent about everything we do, and we share so much with our fellow, uh, you know, designers and architects in the industry. And so we're happy to share. So we encourage folks to just reach out, and you'll get a happy and friendly response from us.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Peter. Really appreciate that. And to all the listeners out there, this episode was supported by PropTech visualization platform, changing how forward-thinking developers plan, pitch, and sell. It's not mainstream yet, but it will be. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, you know where to find me. You've been listening to Blueprints to Buildings podcast. I'm your host, Glen Palmer. I was joined today by Peter DeMaria. Again, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peter, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. It's one of the funnest ones that I've done, not just because we talked about American football and everything, but I love modular. I love everything
Uh-huh.
about it. I love how easy it is. I love all the challenges that pretty much get wiped out the way by building modular in a warehouse somewhere, then
Hmm.
putting it on site. It's quick, it's easy, and I think personally, I think it's the future.
Yeah,
I,
it
I,
is.
I, I,
I,
I,
I'm
I
all
think,
in.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think where it's where the dot-com boom was. I think that's where we are now. We
right.
are just at the beginning, and I think it'll be a norm.
Yeah.
It might take a long time, like you say, Pete, but we shall see. Uh,
Yep.
and then just a quick one before we sign off. The way that you merge design intelligence with manufacturing logic is honestly way ahead of its time. Now, we have a platform called Methodology, which helps showcase modular systems through immersive 3D walkthroughs, especially for investors or government stakeholders. And,
Mhm.
I'd love to give the opportunity to show you what methodology can do for you and modular buildings. I can see the potential value for clients, for partners, developers. So yeah, if you want to jump on a call, I'd love to show you what we are doing in the
Yeah.
industry. I think it's groundbreaking, just like where modular is, and I think it's just this technology that is starting, and it's just going to get better. And we are in the beginning of it. So entirely up to
Okay.
you. If you want to jump on a call, I'd love to show
Let,
you.
let's do it. Let's schedule a time to do that. We work with, I've got engineers in Spain, two engineers and an architect in Spain right now. I have another in Colombia, two in Mexico. So we
Wow.
are internationally connected. So it's no problem at all. So yeah, if you want, send me a little calendar, whatever you have there, and we'll
Yeah.
set up a
I
time to
mean,
take a look.
I'd love to do it now while you're on the call, just nail one in. Um, so we normally do on Wednesdays and Thursdays. That's the main time that we do the intro meetings.
Mhm.
I know that you are like way it, would you mind being it early again, or would you like it a little bit later?
Whatever you prefer. I mean, we're up. I would love to have my business partner come on, Diego Rivera.
Right,
Um,
okay.
Diego is like the Renaissance man. He has an architecture degree, but he's never practiced architecture. But he's in the front lines, in the trenches, in the factory. And you know what? That's the biggest challenge in modular. It's not the damn buildings. It's creating the factory that works at an efficient level to produce the buildings. And when the buildings
Yeah.
are done, the workload is like this and juggling all these people. But Diego's very well versed. He's worked from Africa, Central America, the Amazon, all over the
Wow.
States. So and he's really sharp, very sharp. When it comes to the tech, he's right on board. Um,
Okay.
so I imagine early he and I usually connect. He usually comes in around 5 or 6, usually around 6. But you tell me what works, and then I'll tell him to
Okay.
wake his butt up, and we'll get there.
Right, if we can schedule sort of the same time, well, maybe a little bit later. Let's say 6 o'clock will be 3 o'clock, will it?
Whatever
Uh,
time you have now, just add 20 minutes, right? What time
yeah,
is
yeah.
you're probably late, right?
So it's yeah, it's quarter to two now.
Cool.
Um,
Yeah, so it'd be 2 p.m. for you.
yeah, 2 p.m. So
Mhm.
would that be around about the like sort of 2 p.m. time-ish?
That'd be
Or
fine.
yeah, brilliant.
Let me
Peter,
see what let me see what days he's going to be because we have a factory in Mexico as well. So he
right,
travels
okay.
back and forth to Mexico. Um, let me see what's a good date. You know what? We could tie him in even from Mexico. Give me a date that works for you. I'll put it out there and ask Diego to
How
be
about
available.
Wednesday the 17th?
Possible. I'm going to be up in Santa Barbara. I don't
Uh,
know what they have in store for me. Um,
uh
I can
third
set it tentatively. I'll know probably around the 15th or the 16th, but I don't want to leave you hanging on that.
Yeah,
You
okay.
tell me.
Well, I'll set it up and we can always reschedule.
Okay.
Peter, no problem. I'll set that up. I'll send you an email. Do you want me to copy in your partner, or
Yes.
do you want
His
what
email is Diego, Diego,
DIEA? Yeah,
Diego, and at midrisemodular.com. And Diego's last name is Rivera, like the famous painter, Diego Rivera. Famous here. You guys laugh
yeah.
at
Right. So that's Diego at
him.
midrisemodular.com. I'll copy him in as well, Peter.
That's
Thank you
great.
very much. I appreciate your time. Appreciate that it's like early in the morning. I'll let you get on with your day. Once this is finished, I will let you know where it's available. It's also going to be on YouTube as well. So
Great.
yeah, pleasure to have you on the show and pleasure to talk to you. Really, honestly, loved it.
Thank you, Glenn. Good questions. I like what you're doing. And
Thank you.
yeah, you're a good host. You kept it fluid and nice. Really, really good. Felt more like a conversation than like the traditional podcast that we've seen out there. But let me know if
Brilliant.
we can help in any way. We've got a
Yeah,
whole bunch of different work going on, from 8-story apartment buildings to fire rebuilds in Pacific Palisades. We've got a good cross section of work, and we'll be able to help some other people with what they're doing maybe for the first time, or just get people on the path. So we're always eager to
I,
help.
s- I
Thank
certainly
you.
will. All
Okay,
right,
thank
you
you so
take
much.
care.
Okay, you have a great day. Okay,
Yeah, bye bye.
okay, bye bye now.